Welcome to Onfleet's Partnership Spotlight. This is our first podcast in a series where we get to know Onfleet's customers and how delivery is a key part of their business. I'm Steven, your host, and in our first episode, I spoke with Minnie Fong of Onfleet partner Imperfect Foods, a grocery delivery company, about her business, its story, and what Onfleet does for them. Minnie has been working with Imperfect for 3 years and also signed on Onfleet as a service in 2017. Minnie, does that sound about right?
Yeah, I've been at Imperfect for a little over 3 years, which in startup world is like being a dinosaur already.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's correct.
Tell me a little bit about Imperfect Foods and about your work for them.
Yeah, so Imperfect was actually started in 2015, primarily as a produce company. Actually, we started as Imperfect Produce, and our goal was really to eliminate food waste. Our co-founders were very, very passionate about stemming food waste at the upstream, at the farm level, after seeing so much food not even making it to the stores and not even making it to people's homes. So they started this grocery subscription service around produce in 2015. And 2017, I came on board really to focus on expansion for them. Since then, we've expanded significantly across the country. And also, I think about a year and change ago, we started carrying grocery items because we realized that people loved our concept, people loved what they were doing, but there was also waste happening in other parts of the supply chain. And we can have an impact there as well. We carry, almonds that are broken, and we just cover them in dark chocolate, and they taste like your dark chocolate almonds, except that they're not whole almonds. Or we have pretzel pieces that are broken because that happens in production, and usually that would have gone to waste, and now we can reuse it and repurpose it into chocolate-covered pretzel pieces. Basically, you cover anything with chocolate, and you can. You can repurpose it. But yeah, so that's kind of the history of the companies. Now we actually are called Imperfect Foods. And we're an online grocer. It's a subscription business. And you can order your groceries online with us. It comes every week or every other week, depending on the cadence that you choose. You sign up on our website and we ask you a couple questions about your preferences. Well, how many people are you feeding? Are you vegetarian? Do you want to add what we call a meat pack or a snack pack, basically like pre-adding items into your cart so that when you come in and customize every week, you already have certain items in your cart. So when you come in as a customer, we pre-populate your boxes with items that we hope you like. You can also enter your preferences and things like, I don't want to receive fennel ever. And so we'll make sure that fennel is never in your box, that kind of thing. So we pre-populate your box, but once a week, you get to customize your box as well. And you get to shop on our store and see what we have available, what we don't have. We carry a wide range of products from meat to dairy to snacks to pasta, grains, basically most things that you can find in a grocery store. Some of them have a food waste story, others don't. And just because we know, obviously, nobody really wants imperfect meat or imperfect milk. But actually, you'll be surprised in the salmon, we actually get odd cuts sometimes, and that's still a food waste story. But yeah, essentially, we carry everything a grocery store would typically carry.
So if I did just want to order nuts and broken pretzels covered in chocolate, would I be able to do that?
Absolutely. You can take every single piece of broccoli and carrots and all the vegetables out and just eat all the junk food. You can absolutely do that. There is no judgment and shame there.
Very important. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, you talked about specifically your job is growing the business. How has it been growing, and how many markets are you guys currently in?
Yeah, we're actually in 38 states right now, and we service about 75% of the country. And that's since I joined in 2017. So it's been quite a big growth for us, coming out of just literally one city and an office that is as big as a conference room. When I joined, there was no playbook. It was literally, we are going to Portland and you have to figure it out. And I had to figure it out and build out the playbook. And honestly, we had to iterate and change along the way. We had to keep adjusting the model and adjusting how we roll out in different markets until we got to a point where we had rhythm to it and we were able to scale up and open multiple cities in a month. But that's kind of how we approach it. And the other one that we did about late last year was we actually launched a carrier program because usually we were going into cities somewhat blind. We didn't have existing customers. We didn't know how many people would want to sign up necessarily. We had projections, but until rubber hits the road, it's hard to tell. And so this was one way for us to be able to see where people would want us easily and be able to come in to the city with our own last mile distribution at a more efficient level where we didn't have to ramp up. We hit the ground running right away. And so we have a partnership with one of the carriers and just started delivering our boxes to people that are within a 1 or 2 day delivery zone.
Okay, very cool. So you mentioned Portland. Am I correct in saying that was when you did your first pilot program with Onfleet?
Yeah, before Onfleet, actually, we were using a third-party distribution company, and the tricky thing that we realized is that the delivery process is the actual delivery of the boxes is truly the only place where we physically kind of interact with our customers, and giving it to a third-party company just didn't allow us to have control over it and make sure that the experience was what we wanted it to be. And so we found out about Onfleet and we partnered with them for our 2017 launch, and it was the first time we did it. And it was great. It gave us control over how we were routing our deliveries, what areas we were delivering to on what days, and we were able to see the drivers and track them on the dispatch from a dispatcher's perspective and be able to see at the very granular level where these drivers are. It sounds creepy, but like I literally know which corner you're in. But that's helpful because when the driver calls me and says, I can't find the house, I can go on Google Maps and say, well, what are you seeing right now? This is what the house looks like, and kind of help the driver navigate that. And having Onfleet as a partner enables us to see that level of granularity.
So you guys, like at the company, even the company like leadership level, are like interacting with these drivers to help them get your product where it needs to go.
Well, at that time, I was for sure.
Right.
Right now, we've scaled quite a bit, so I don't think our CEO is taking calls from the driver anymore.
Right.
But at that time, when we launched, I was very much boots on the ground. I mean, I literally have driven trucks, have delivered the boxes. I've sat in front of the computer to dispatch while I was eating dinner. I've done all the wide range of hats. I've worn quite a wide range of hats while I was in Perfect, especially when I was launching Portland. This was the first market, and it's funny and I look at it quite fondly. But it was a great way to really have a deep understanding of the business.
Yeah, like what specifically did you learn from from being a driver?
For being a driver. First of all, you have to appreciate all of the people who bring your boxes to your door. That is just first and foremost. It is, it's a tedious job. You sit in the car, you run out, you haul heavy box, go up the stairs, drop it off in someone's front door, and then you have to run down and do it over and over again, over about 100 times in a day. It's a tough job. It's backbreaking. It's tough. Yeah, but I was able to use at that time. It was great because I was able to use the Onfleet app and actually experience it firsthand, both from a driver's perspective, but also from a dispatcher's perspective. On the days that I would drive the delivery van, I downloaded the app. I was able to follow the routes. It was very intuitive and very easy to use, and that was really helpful. It allowed me to see which drop-offs I had for the rest of my delivery route, and was able to kind of map that out very quickly. It integrated quickly with Google Maps or Apple Maps and help navigate right away. So I didn't have to keep fumbling with my phone. And from a dispatcher perspective, like I shared earlier, if a driver calls me and says, "Hey, I'm lost. I can't find this house," I can literally see which corner they're in and say, "Hey, what are you seeing?" Like, "Oh, you're at the back of the building. You should go to the other side. This is what you should be seeing," and whatever. And so that has been really helpful as well because I can, as creepy as it sounds, track the drivers and where they're at and how they're moving and be able to provide assistance.
Yeah, and you've also you've been in their shoes and you know what the app looks like on their end also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you said you're not interacting with your customers personally a lot these days. Obviously, the whole concept of personal interaction has been changing in the last few months. How has the pandemic impacted your business?
Yeah, it's a great time to be online grocery right now. We've grown about 40% right now. It's definitely been a great way to get the word out about food waste and what we're doing and the mission that we have. There was a huge spike, as you can imagine, in around March or April, where everybody was signing up for an account, and it was quite the bit of growth at that time, and we've seen that sustain over the last 6 months.
And I'd imagine that presents some logistical challenges also to all of this growth. How has that been?
Yeah, it's definitely been a logistical challenge, but also, we've had to hire so many people. We had to hire our new labor in the warehouse, new drivers, really had to scale up the operation to be able to keep up with the demand, and we had to adjust delivery windows. I mean, now that everybody's at home, we are actually able to deliver boxes earlier during the day. In the past, we were only delivering in the afternoons or evenings, and you could choose delivery windows. But in order to help us be able to scale, we basically eliminated the delivery windows because we figured everybody was home anyway. So if you got your box first thing in the morning or in the middle of the day, it wouldn't have to sit outside for a very long time. We're very grateful that our customers are fairly flexible and understanding of the ways we've needed to flex and change the model slightly to be able to keep up with the demand and make sure that they're still getting their boxes on time.
Thank you for sharing so much of the story. I am curious, and I'm sure our listeners also will be, to learn more about Imperfect Foods, perhaps place an order of my own. So where can they go to check out Imperfect Foods, learn more about you guys?
Yeah, just go to our website, imperfectfoods.com, and you can sign up there. Just put in your zip code, and we'll tell you whether or not we can deliver to you and on what days, and you can sign up for an account there.
All right. Well, yeah, I don't know. Any last words? Anything else you feel like telling people about your business or adding here before we sign off?
Not specifically, other than wash your hands, wear a mask, and please vote.
Yes.
Probably the most relevant right now.
We should just stamp that onto the end of everything we do. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, great. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, of course.
Thanks again to Minnie Fong from Imperfect Foods for her story and snack recommendations. Onfleet manages millions of deliveries for companies like Imperfect Foods, including grocery stores, restaurants, and retailers. If you want to learn more about how to scale your delivery business, visit Onfleet's website. That's onfleet.com for a free trial.